Oh, I've got it.
All right. Thank you for joining me for session 2 for 2024 turbocharged sales system in our pilot program. And let me do some screen sharing here. There we go. All right. Let me move this up because I don't know if you can see that if you've got the same thing I do. All right. So no, we are not doing a Groundhog Day, but I just wanted to kind of go over, recap what we did last session. We went over how you have to have a successful mindset, how you have to work through perseverance, hurdles. We talked a little bit about that actually earlier today. You got to keep going forward, persevere. We've talked about the ideal client prospect. It doesn't mean you may not already know that, but I asked you to revisit on it, okay? So you could be starting a new division. You could be kind of like going in a little bit of a pivot direction. So keep the paperwork, use it for your current person, but then you can have multiple lists depending upon how fine or how finely niched you want to get in terms of going into the granular, in terms of someone else that might be in a related market, but a little bit different. And then we went over the databases, okay, basically how you can find unlimited pre-qualified prospect leads. I showed you how you can put in a name to work it backwards to get to your SIC code. And also the secret and the key, in my opinion, is I want you to work on a goal of finding 25 to 50 leads, okay? So you're going to get a lot, but to whittle it down. And there again, you can reach out to me if you need help whittling it down. I actually purposely chose, I think, the county of DuPage on my example, just so we could get down to 50. So it doesn't mean that those 50 are all perfect, but you're going to want to maybe do a little back end work. And I say little, not a lot. Don't go down a lot of rabbit holes and spend 5 hours researching, but just go to their website, validate, that this is something that makes sense that you think initially. But don't play God. Don't look for 100% match. Look for like 90 to 100, because even if you do connect with them and they're not 100, they may lead you to that 100, okay, by the networking about, is there anybody that you're aware of that could use my background or my company's background, my lead? You're not going to say it specifically like that, because today we're going to learn about how do you basically work on your hook and defining your outcome. But that's what would be my suggestion to you. So that was last week. Let me get to my page thing here. Okay. This week, we're going to go over the power of connections. So as you've heard, we've all heard over our lifetime, no one buys from a stranger. So the whole process here and everything we do on an ongoing basis is to try and build a relationship and slowly build trust. Trust does not happen from one voicemail. It doesn't happen from one email. It doesn't happen from one responding to a post on LinkedIn. It's over time. And so what happens in today's world, I'm a firm believer, is we all get distracted. We go down a rabbit hole here, a rabbit hole there, and then we don't get back to the consistency. So it's a discipline process. And next week, I'm going to give you a limited Excel sheet to help you start so you can track some of the situation and make yourself come back. So when I send that voicemail, so the 3 or the 7 days when I'm sending up my follow email, and put the dates in there. If you find it's too hard to work on the Excel because it's taking your time away by the time you go up and update it, then I'm a firm believer in, and I've shared this on some of my other training, believe it or not, and particularly for the 25 or the 50, is you can just go to your Office Depot and get an index card. And so you manually can write down the information on the person's name, their address, their phone number on the back. When did you email them? When did you call them? Okay. So it may seem a little corny, a little old fashioned, but sometimes it's faster than having to go back and update an Excel. Anything that you're in Excel, I always tell my executives, you do it after the golden hours. So you're not going to do any of your updating until after 4 o'clock. So have a notepad where you can take the notes while you're talking to the person, or date it, or do your own little system. And then at 4:30, transfer those notes into your CRM or into your Excel. And if you have a reminder on your CRM, then you can set it up and it'll remind you in the 4 days or the 3 days that you're going to follow up with the email, or in the 7 days. You can put yourself on a 7 day cycle, which is sometimes easier because we work from a Monday to Friday. And when you start talking about sending something on 3 days or 4 days, then you say to yourself, oh no, well, that happened on Saturday or Sunday. What am I going to do, Eleanor? Am I going to reach out to them on Monday? Whereas a traditional rule of thumb is that it's very easy to catch up with people between Tuesdays and Thursdays. Though sometimes I've had very good luck early morning on Monday morning before lunch, before their days really start. And if someone is a hard worker, I've had very good luck, believe it or not, Friday afternoon, because people just emotionally start kind of winding down and they don't make that extra effort. And you'd be surprised how many owners you can find at a company at 4 o'clock or at 5:30 or on a Friday afternoon. So we're going to talk about defining the transformation that you provide, the outcome. Why does someone want to work with you? We're going to look at some powerful voicemails, and I'm going to share with you some subject lines and talk about how can you get your emails being noticed. I'm hoping that most of you are in a system. In my case, I'm in Constant Contact. There's some people are on MailChimp or, Weber or whatever that will show you your open rates. So the quote for today is from David W. Johnson. Little happens in a relationship until the individuals learn to trust each other. So this is what we call it. I'm sure most of you have heard it. We're basically talking about creating a trust seeding process. So we're dropping little seeds here and there. You can do a handwritten note to someone. You can send them a postcard. You can call them on the phone. You bump into them at the next Lady Biz meeting or the chamber meeting, whatever you're using. And then you follow up with them. So this is a bonus material I wanted to share with you. So this is a real eye-opener. This shows you, and this is from a professor that wrote a book called The Silent Messages, to understand that people are really only listening to you 7% of what you say. So if you're on a Zoom call or doing a training and you think to yourself, oh my goodness, I really came off like an idiot. I'm saying don't stress it, don't worry about it. Because people make a judgment and it's more, you can see it's very heavily weighted on the visual, and then 38% is vocal. It's the tone of your voice, it's the confidence, it's the pace in which you're speaking that they can hear you. I think I've shared with some of you that my mother was from New York, so I always have to remember to slow down because I do speak too quickly and I have a mind that never stops. But this is what I wanted you to understand. This is why, when at all possible, why, if you look in retrospect, why when you meet with someone face to face or you do an initial Zoom meeting with them, that you're going to have a stronger connection with them. On the other hand, look at the verbal, and I share with everybody, the majority of people I know, and I've yet to find someone that has told me differently, when we were young children and we were being brought up by our parents at home, they were reading stories to us at bedtime. The voice is very, very powerful. The voice is more powerful than an email because it's something that's very unique. Your voice is like a fingerprint. Everybody has a unique voice. And so when you do leave that voicemail and you leave the first one and you leave the second one and you leave the third one and you leave the fourth one and the fifth and the sixth, and you're going to say, oh, Eleanor, I can't believe I'm going to do that many. But if you really do get tenacious, particularly about that one person that you know is 101% your ideal client, you have to go that extra mile. And I'm going to show you later on in this session what that means when you go the extra mile. But what happens is studies have shown that, those voicemails, even though they may delete them, they're starting to recognize your voice. And so you're starting to create an identity with a stranger that you never had a voice with. So how do we gain trust and time, which are, to me, is the key here in terms of what, if we can't do business with someone if they don't trust us. Because people are, as you've heard the expression, are going to buy from people they know, like, and trust. But we're also asking for time. And time has always been valuable, but I think in today's world, it's even gotten more bizarre because of all, and I'm blessed and I enjoy the internet, but I think it's exasperated it. It's exasperated through social media, all the apps, everything where our time is being pulled. So that's why we have to figure, how can we get the eyeball and how can we get their attention? And the key is you have to show them how you're offering them value, how it's worth it to them to spend time with you. It's just the old-fashioned ROI. So here are 3 areas that you can look at your value statement when we're going to go forward here. Is you can hit them on an emotional side. And then you also, if you know someone, if you're familiar with the Briggs study, because I did that when I was at GE, and it obviously left an impression on me because I'm sharing the story with you now. But if it's any big surprise to any of you that are listening today, I'm an expressive driver. Okay. So for me, I'm going to have a bias where for me, my natural traits are going to play to the emotional side, to getting into their heart. Then you have someone that's an amiable, analytical, they're going to do better with logic. So if in fact you have an intuitive sense about the people, if you've actually met with them to a certain degree, or if you look at their roles or capacities. So if you're reaching out to accounting firms, the odds are you're going to be dealing with a logic person. Okay. If you're reading out, let's say in the fashion industry or in the healthcare industry, you're going to be reaching out to people that are more emotional, more visual, and more empathetic. So think about and some of this is going to be a hit or miss. You have to come out of the gate, try what I'm suggesting, and you're going to figure out intuitively, excuse me, where your strengths are. So emotionally, you want to provide a solution to them of something that they've got pain, they're worrying about, they're losing time on, or they've got a money issue, they're losing money. You want to offer them hope, peace of mind, offering hope. Hope is an emotional thing, but it just has very powerful. It has to be genuine. You cannot offer them false hope. You have to offer them real hope in terms of how you can make a difference, peace of mind if they're losing sleep overnight, or they're losing some of their employees and they don't know how can they hire people. You want to lower their stress. Also show them some ways that you can help them save money. Curiosity. These are people that really, if you send them a white paper, if you send them a research project, okay, or if you send them a link on an article that you saw on the internet that you know that it was something you were talking about at your lunch, or you saw them, that they're doing an expansion of one of their divisions or businesses. So that's how you can tie into them in building trust. Help them with a competitive edge. They're going to want to have some type of knowledge that no one else has. So I recently went out and I shared with some of you how I did a research project to validate my new training program. And so I asked people, I said, working on this research project, I'm going to share the results with you. And people were very curious because, to be honest, they didn't have the time to go out and do it. I'm doing it. They trust me. And so now I'm going back to them and I'm sharing the knowledge of what I found on the marketplace, or what were at the time, what were the people's biggest challenges looking at 2024 in terms of how they could maintain their business and grow their business. And here again, now we come down to logic. If you're dealing with logical people, you can even hit all of these at a certain point, but I would, depending upon your market, I would rank them and start with the one that's going to resonate, you think, the most with your market, and then move down the list to the two other ones to use for your different ways that you reach out, particularly on email, okay? Because the email is where you can do your case studies and your metrics. And of course, logically, which is part of, frankly, the whole transformation outcome that you provide and the value, one of the best values is what are the results that you can deliver? And those are going to come from some of your testimonials. And as I've mentioned to you, if someone gives you a testimonial, you intellectually, legally own all of that verbiage. And you can customize and you can cherry pick the phrases that you want to put in your website or to put in any of your marketing materials that will serve the particular market that you're going after. So, lesson number 1, let's define our transformation that you provide. So, you've heard this before, but I wanted to put this out here visually. I am going to share and turn this into a PowerPoint like I did last time. I'll be sending you the link, and I have a couple of handouts to help work through to this week's session. But everybody wants to know, what do you know? What do you do? How are you different? What's the benefit of working with you or your product versus your competitor? And how would their life be different using their products and service? The old classic, what's in it for me? This one here, so relative to my doing executive search, I used to jokingly say that basically I was in the real estate business because I was creating better home lives. Because my executives were so stressed out when they lost an executive, they always came to me. It was an emergency. They never came to me before they knew the employee was going to leave. And so now they're not with their families the way they want to. They're not golfing. They're not relaxing, and they're stressed. So when I would help them find the perfect candidate that would fill a position, I gave them back some of their free time and they were able to sleep more. So think about the things outside of just selling your product. What impact is it really having on the quality of their life beyond work? And you'll be surprised how much that does make a difference. And in today's world, I think people are overworked and overstressed. This is another way I wanted, again, it's the same thing, some different ideas, some different approaches here, because I want you to study both these slides. So when you are working on your transformation, look at them, jot down the ones that you like are the best, and then keep answering it in a different way. Leave your desk and come back. Do not expect to do this on one seating. So take one of the questions, just do a mind dump, walk away, work on another project. Take the next question, let's say in an hour or two, or go outside, look at some trees, something where you literally recharge and pivot your brain and come back, and then just without even looking at the first answer, give me another answer. So I want you to create different answers to the same question in different ways. And then at the end, when you look at that finished work, then go back, take a yellow highlight pen if you want to, and highlight the ones that start to really resonate with your heart and soul. It says, nope, this is it. So this is like writing a resume. This does not happen overnight. It also changes, by the way, over time. But for this exercise, for this session, that would be my suggestion in terms of the best way that you can get the maximum situation. You can say that you know the outcome. You can say you know the transformation. But I'm challenging you to dig deeper. So it really comes back to, what's part of your message? And the bottom line is, how are you different from your competitors? Why are they going to work with you and not somebody else? And if obviously the longer you're in business, the more testimonials you have, the more you understand your competitors. If you're going into a new market, you may not be as intuitive about who your competitors are. And so you may also learn more along the way as you meet with people who are your competitors, or what are they like that's different. And then why you? So let's talk about, at this point, everybody that I'm talking to here has been in business for either a short time or a number of years. And I'm hoping that everybody at some time in their life for their business has done a voicemail. The question is, we may have had a system that we've used in the past. We've gotten away from it. We've been too busy. We're kind of like shooting from the hip. You say, oh, well, I've been in this job for 5 or 8 years. I know what I'm saying. And so there again, I'm going to challenge you to rethink it and to try something that I'm sharing with you today in terms of voicemail and email. I'm asking you also to be committed to trying it for 30 days. You're also going to find after you make 1 or 2 voicemails, you yourself are going to tweak them and redesign them. But I want you to leave the voicemails that you've been working with in the past, and I want you to give a committed 30 days to trying what I'm sharing with you today. If at the end of 30 days, you find yourself that these are not resonating with you, you're uncomfortable with them, you're never able to get comfortable with them, then fine, then go back to what you've been using or what you were doing. But most people they don't know how to leave a voicemail. And I'm going to share with you today some tricks that I think will really help. It doesn't mean every single voicemail is going to be called back, but it will help you getting a higher rate of callback. So again, I'm going to give you a couple different ways to look at this. So when you have a chance and I send you the PDF, just look through it. If you want, you can even let me see about what I can do is I can cut and paste these and put these into a Word document. So I'll send them to you. And so when I send them to you, you can even just take highlights. And if you want, just to remind yourself which section really you feel is going to stack and work better on this. Because this is like scaffolding. You're kind of like building a whole system here. So that you have to remember the goal of the call. Am I calling to introduce myself? Am I calling to set up an appointment? Am I referred by somebody? So you have to put that top of mind because it's going to guide the whole way that you set up your voicemail. And oh, by the way, the average voicemail, they say the perfect one is 30 seconds. And for whatever it's worth, mine tend to be about 40 seconds. Okay. What you're going to see here is you're going to identify yourself. You're going to leave your number in the beginning, and then you're also going to do it at the end. So that you're doing it twice in 2 sections, because the odds are if someone at a certain point starts to listen to you, they're either going to write it down or they're not, but then they're going to cut you off. But there again, now they know who Eleanor Ann Sweet is. And they know my phone number. And eventually they might pick it up and say, you've been calling for a while about, trying to help grow our sales income. I've been ignoring you, but if truth be known, I'm curious about what you really do. So you want to explain why you're calling, because you want to be respectful of their time. You're not going to do some spam thing where you just say, well, oh, I hear you're like, so wonderful. And I saw, in the news that you were doing this or you're doing that. And I know our product will do whatever. Those calls, but explain to them why you're calling. I'm hoping to connect with you. I'm hoping to, share some information with you. You're going to do one sentence where you state the value, the benefit, or the outcome of your product deliveries. So on the executive search side, I would call someone and I would say, Dear Joe, this is, Eleanor Sweet with the Remington Group. I can be reached at area code 847-577-2000. I'm aware of a particularly sharp vice president of sales in the marketplace who in the last year and a half has increased his division's sales by 25%. Is there anybody you know that you think I should be reaching out to that would be interested in someone with that type of background? So in that case, I was doing a classic, what they call an indirect. The person either was going to have a need themselves or I was asking for their help. And frankly, women, I think that have a unique value here because women are more likely to get their phone calls returned than a gentleman. And depending on how you position it, same thing with the emails. Okay, if you're asking for help, people just by human nature sometimes will cross over and they'll be like, what the heck? This person's looking for help. I'm going to help them. But did you notice also that I was doing a quantifiable number in there? I said 25%. When I put that in an email, it shows up. And there's something about the human brain. It goes toward percentages. It goes toward numbers. It's just like if I was reaching out to you and say, I would like to, talk to you, or we'll get down here in a minute, but I basically want to increase your sales in the next quarter by 1%. They're gonna key in on that. So if you can at all possible, make it quantifiable, a percentage, that'll help make it stronger. And you provide your proof that you can deliver 2 sentences on a mini success story. If you want to protect your clients, what I do sometimes is I will just use initials for the client, but I won't say their name if it's in a competitive marketplace. And again, then you identify yourself, you say your name, your firm, and your phone number. Just another way of looking at it. You say your name, the company, the phone number at the beginning and the end of the voicemail message. Remember to speak slowly when you say your company, your name, your company, and your phone number. Now, there is a school of thought, which I don't particularly use, but I want to share it with you because it's your choice. And that is, there is a school of thought that up here on the phone number is you say the phone number twice. And then you would say the phone number down here at the end. Now, I'm sure all of us have been in a situation where we've picked up the phone, we've found out who called us on voicemail, and we've driven ourselves crazy, at least I have, trying to listen to a voicemail 4 times because the person said the number too quickly and you can't catch the number. So the theory on that process is that in the event that they're having trouble hearing your number, if you say the number twice, then there's a higher probability they'll be able to write it down. My concern is because of my voicemails tend to be quote unquote about 40 seconds that if I added those 2 extra phone numbers, then it would really get me into a high voicemail length. So there again, play with it and see what works with you. I always use my stopwatch and I'm checking my voicemail. I always will do it in a large font and I'll have it on a piece of paper. And so and I keep it there. I practice. I don't know if I've mentioned to you, but when you're practicing, you want to be standing up because you're speaking from the diaphragm. It automatically gives you more energy. And then also, it may sound weird, but you can record yourself on a Zoom saying it. Look at your facial expression because when you're doing a voicemail, studies have shown that if you're smiling, they can feel your smile over the phone or look into the mirror in the morning, whatever. So then you're going to tell them again, you're going to be respectful and tell them the reason you're calling right out of the gate. Communicate your value, your benefits, same thing. What the transformation will they see? How will their company or lives be different as a result of working with you? Like if let's say you're in the real estate area, it would be the same thing. Peace of mind, your family has a safer place to work, to live, or, say they're looking to get a larger house and they want to move out to the country. Your family, will be in a safer environment if that's something that's important. And there again, that's hitting into an emotional thing. So depending upon what your product or service is, this one you can use with how you're going to benefit the company, but also how you touch their life. And there again, share a mini client success story. Keep it 1 to 2 short sentences. Call to action. Please call me at, please give me a call. And then Eleanor and Sweet, area code 381-9797. So what's going to happen here is you're going to take this recipe and we're going to change it. So I know if you have a hectic week and you can't do the 3 voicemails, don't stress it. But ideally, I would like you to finish this course with three unique voicemails and 3 unique emails. You're going to need more than that, but I want you to come out with that as a finished product. Because once you've gone through the exercise of tweaking 1 and 2 and 3, it'll be easy for you to go and do it on your own for your others. So let me give you an example here. So this would be a sample voicemail. Hello, Brad. This is Eleanor Ann Sweet. I'm with B2B Turbocharged Sales, 847-304-4500. I'm calling to introduce myself. I'm an expert in increasing B2B company sales income. One of my clients increased their sales 5% this last year with my help. I would like to share with you how I've been able to help other small business owners in the area sleep better by finding new ways to increase their sales. Please call me. Again, I'm Eleanor Sweet from B2B Turbocharged Sales. My phone number is area code 847-304-4500. Now, I kept the have a great day. I think it would depend upon how I felt. I might throw that in. It makes it a little more personal. Otherwise, you're running out of time. Don't worry about it. But you see here, here's my call to action. And in my case, I probably, for the future, maybe I need to take the "and" out of there because I do use 3 names professionally. But there again, I'm taking up time, in terms of, the amount of time that I'm going to be talking to them. But there you go. And so there's my, 5% on this particular one area. You might sleep better. I'm hoping maybe that's a little bit of a quirky thing to say, but it might like resonate with someone like, well, geez, I can't believe they know I'm up at night. So that would be an example hypothetically of a first sample voicemail number 1. So understand the system I'm sharing with you is you're not going to do all these in this example, but I'm doing it by categories. I'm not suggesting we're going to do the voicemail all in order. I have a bias because of my background. I told you I spent, over 15, 20 years calling people nationally. They would send me literally 5-figure checks, never met me, never knew me in person, even though I worked a lot of trade shows. And obviously, as you build a business over time, you get referral. But it was because I was doing it predominantly over voicemail. Yes, I used email, but voicemail was still my main line. So I intuitively tend to start with voicemail. I find that a lot of people, when I work with them, for whatever reason, are uncomfortable with voicemail. If you're uncomfortable with voicemail because you feel like, oh, that's so weird. How do I sound? What are they going to think? And you're still kind of like getting into your mojo about getting comfortable with the scripts and doing them, then start with an email. Okay. You have to start. She who hesitates is lost. So go where you're comfortable with. But the way I'm talking today, I would, for myself or someone with my temperament, then I'm saying you start with a voicemail. If I call you on Tuesday, I leave that voicemail, then I would follow up with an email on Wednesday or Thursday. And I'm going to show you here how I would do that. Because then you can refer to the voicemail, and now I'm linking 2 efforts that I've made to get a hold of them. So I don't know if that person is traveling. I don't know if that person's on vacation. And as I share with everybody, because sometimes people get frustrated and like, Eleanor, I don't understand. Why aren't they all calling me back? You have to understand that your sense of urgency is entirely different than their sense of urgency. And you have to constantly remind yourself, it's not about you. You don't take it personally. You just keep chugging through the list to get to your 50. And when you finish your first 50, guess what? Your homework assignment is to go out and find another 50. So the sooner you get through the 50s or the 25, that you're working on a concentrated basis, the sooner you get through the people that aren't responding initially means when you're going to find somebody that is going to respond to you. So it's a numbers game. It does not change over time. The thing that's changed over time is that people are not as disciplined because they're getting pulled by life and they're getting distracted. And that's why, depending on what your schedule looks like, if you can start off initially by committing an hour each day, okay, preferably in the morning, to the voicemail and the email sequencing or cadencing, whatever verbiage you want to use, and commit to that for 30 days, you will see a change in your business. And yes, if you have to go see a client one morning and you miss your hour, try and put it in, keep that hour and commit to yourself. You do it another part during the day. Don't throw it necessarily out if you can do that. But it's the consistency of staying with it. So here we go on voicemail 2. Hello, Tom. This is Eleanor with B2B Turbocharged Sales, 847-304-4500. I'm calling because I'm following up on the email I sent you. As I mentioned, I'm an expert in increasing sales income for small B2B businesses. I've been supporting small businesses for over 10 years, and I've worked with over 50 clients in the greater Chicago area. For example, FCU in the Chicago market saw an increase in sales of 5% after using our sales system. I would like to learn more about your company and see how we can help you increase your sales income. I'd like to introduce myself personally. Please call me. Again, this is Eleanor Sweet from B2B Turbocharged Sales. My phone is 847-304-4500. So, first of all, I meant to get rid of the underlining. I used this for another presentation, and there must have been a reason I did the underline, but I can't remember, but maybe that'll help somebody. So a couple of things. In case you hadn't noticed on this email and the other email, is I grouped my numbers together to make it easier for the listener. 847-304-4500. Instead of saying 847-304-4500. So you want to have just a micro pause, in my opinion, right between these numbers to try and help the brain to catch up and for the brain when they're trying to write down the number. This one, you notice I was a little more casual. I didn't do the whole name. Now I kept the small B2B businesses in there because that's a point of differentiation. I'm just not someone that does everything. That's my niche. So when at all possible, hold on to your niche. On the other hand, if you think you're running out of time, you could just, even if you had to at the end, you could say Eleanor Sweet, you could forget the name of the company. But it'll depend on what your timing is or the feedback you're getting from the marketplace. But in the beginning, I have stated the name of my company and again, my phone number. Another thing is, here's my small success story. So I think that was what I wanted to share with you. Oh, so down here is, I'm not leading with, I'd like to set up a discovery call with you. I'd like to set up, whatever. I'm basically trying to make it focused toward them. So I would like to learn more about your company. Okay. So always put the customer first and then put yourself second. But a lot of people are putting themselves first and they're asking for the time. Well, I need to tell you about, we've got these great products. I know they're going to help you, blah, 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 blah. But it's a very subtle emotional thing, but you want to put the prospective client forward first, their interest, their time that you're asking for, and then you take care of yourself second. It's very subtle, but it'll help build the trust, a little bit of trust there as opposed to the other way around. So then here's voicemail script 3. Hi, Tom. This is Eleanor, the B2B Turbocharged Sales with Turbocharged Sales, 847-304-4500. I'm calling to follow up from my previous voicemail. As I mentioned, I'm a specialist in increasing sales revenue for small B2B businesses. The bottom line is, in this economy, I'm helping clients cut overhead and find new potential customers. For example, an ABC company saw an increase of almost 5% in sales using our B2B customized sales system. I'd like to learn more about you and your company via phone or Zoom and see how I can help you increase your B2B sales income. Please call me. Again, this is Eleanor Sweet from B2B Turbocharged Sales. My phone is 847-304-4500. So I'm even from a small tonal standpoint and making those numbers sound distinct and different, as opposed to just reading them all flat and reading with the same tone of voice. It may sound weird, but some of that, the cadence verbally that you're going to create in your own uniqueness is part of the intimacy that comes across in the voicemail. And there's so many people that are being so robotic, and there's so many people that are just not using this technique. And then I suspect with AI, who knows, we're probably going to have robots calling us, leaving voicemails. And I know that, sometimes there are these companies that have automated systems. So you still are a person. I was doing something the other day. Oh, I was sending out an email and someone commented on it. I said, well, I could tell you, I'm a human. I'm not AI. I made a mistake. So it was something on a picture I was doing for a client on an email. And so everybody got a charge out of that one. So again, to recap, another way of looking at this is your voicemail is say your name, your phone number twice if you want to try that method in the beginning, and make sure at the end very slowly. Sometimes they suggest if you have a challenging name, you can spell your name to that's another way that makes you unique and stand out. I work with somebody that's last name is Lebedo. So you could say my name is, I'm Dave Lebedo, and it sounds like potato, but I'm Dave Lebedo. I mean, I would clean that up a little bit, but the point is it's unique. Sometimes people comment on my name being sweet. They'll call back and say, "Are you really sweet?" So you just got to work with whatever you've got. Remember to speak clearly and slowly. I feel a lot of people in today's market, and I try to remember to keep doing this because both my parents were involved with the theater, is to enunciate. And I also sang in choir and sang in college and after college. So when you're obviously a singer, you have to do a lot of things from your diaphragm. And remember to have good posture, your shoulders back, because it's going to help your diaphragm, particularly when you're sitting in a chair. And so again, the most important thing is your message of the value, the benefit, the outcome, that's how you're going to affect their lives and make a difference for their company. Share the success story, plan to call 5 to 10 times. Okay. But you want to change your message just a little bit. Like if you notice on one of those, I use the word I'm an expert. You could say I'm a specialist. Try some different things and you're going to see it. Maybe, there's something in that. It's like a beta test. You're going to see that someone's going to react to that at a certain point. And so I'm going to show you here in a minute. You're going to leave a message at a certain point saying that you will not call again. So at a certain point, you're like, oh my goodness, I never hear from this person. And so at a certain point, you have to cut your losses. But here's a great way. You're going to cut your loss, but you're going to kiss them. So this would be your voicemail about 5 or 6. Okay. And like I said, the rule of thumb is, now it takes 12 touch points to reach somebody. I want to get you at least to do 6. Okay. If it's someone that you know in your heart, they are your ideal client, then you stay in longer, for the game. Because that person, statistically in your heart is a higher probability of being your ideal client. The other thing is when you go through your list, I want you to rank the prospects by A, B, and C. So your A's are going to be your best, your B's are going to be maybe, and your C you're not so sure about. I want you to consider for the first week calling your C companies to test and do your dress rehearsal with. I'm not saying we're throwing them away, but it's less important that you be on your game. So take the prospects that you think maybe are long shots you're not so sure about and just call them. Just do it for the exercise. And then when you feel you're a little more comfortable and confident, then you're going to start to hit your A. So this is an email you would send at the end. So it's, hello, Tom. This is Eleanor with B2B Turbocharged Sales, 847-304-4500. I'm an expert in increasing sales and revenue for small businesses. I've called you a few times wanting to introduce myself and B2B Turbocharged Sales personally. I know that you're busy, and because I haven't heard back from you, I'm assuming that this is not a good time for us to have a conversation. I don't want to make myself a pest, so I will not be calling again. I'm going to touch base with you in 6 months or so. If you've been meaning to call back and simply haven't had a chance, I would love to share with you how we've helped other small B2B businesses in the area. Please call me. Again, this is Eleanor Sweet from B2B Turbocharged Sales. My phone is 847-304-4500. So you have to remember to call them back in 6 months and you will absolutely blow their mind. Even if it's a short email and you just say, hi, hello, Tom. It's been 6 months. This is Eleanor with B2B Turbocharged Sales, 847-304-4500. I said I was going to call you in 6 months, and I want you to know I keep my word. I'm an expert in increasing sales and revenue for small businesses. I'd love to hear from you. Give me a call. Again, it's Eleanor Sweet from B2B Turbocharged Sales. My phone is 847-304-4500. So you can have some fun with the, where it is, the 6-month thing here. And I would lead and front load that. Now that's assuming the person is still there in 6 months. Okay. So, so, but that's, and then you can have some fun with that in an email. And you will stand out for that. All right. So I wanted to, this is some of the basic philosophy here is you're going to leave a different voicemail. So just tweak them a small way. That's why I'm saying it's going to be pretty easy to do the 3. Never know which one will resonate. And the goal is to leave 3 to 8 voicemails. And the normal rhythm is to leave it every 3 to 5 or 7 days, but you've got to work around the weekend. So this is what I've been wanting to show you. So this is the probability of getting through. So in the first call, you have a 37% probability of getting through. You've got a 61% in the second, 73 in the third, 82 in the fourth, 88% in the fifth. On the sixth, you have 90%, 7, 8, and 9 end up being 91%, 92, and 93. So that's why I was doing the threshold here of ideally the first 6. Most people stop after 1. And then some people stop after 2. And a lot of it is because we just move on to something else. And if you're in consulting and coaching, it's human nature. We're working on a project for one client and we don't continue to build our pipeline. We're excited. We got the project, we got the money, we're helping them. There's a lot of interaction. And so we just forget to get back to that hour a day to keep doing these touch points, because it is a pipeline that has to be in touch. And believe me, I've done it myself. I told you, so, but I'm just saying that's why you want to stay with it, because you're doing these touch points, be it voicemail. This is relative to voicemail, by the way. Okay. But the same thing, I haven't seen any, this is an industry statistic. I haven't seen I'll have to look on Google and see if there's an industry statistics relative to emails. So this is really great. And I apologize. I tried looking last night and this morning. I've used this slide before. I probably used it for about 1 or 2 years. And I lost my source. I like to source where I get my data. And I could not find this online because it's not, when you put into Google, they think you're just trying to, it's a different permission thing. But I have to dig out my original files where I got this from. But this was a real eye-opener for me. Okay. So human nature is, and particularly there again, if you're very socially oriented, you always want to be respectful, you want to be polite and all this other one. But here's where you want to go. You only want to say, are you busy? You have an 86% probability that they will stay on the phone and be gracious and listen to what you're saying. The minute you say, are you busy? Or do you have a quick second? The minute you're saying, are you busy? Well, everybody's busy. You're a disruptor. You're interrupting them. They don't want to be interrupted. So this has proven that only 61% will even take their time to listen. At that point, they're just like, well, I am busy. And they'll just say, this is a bad time, and they'll hang up on you. So please remember, when you do get someone on the line, is to use this. Even put it in an index card or a post-it note in your computer just to remind you. So you're going to be sitting there making phone calls, and believe me, they're not going to be answering the phone call, but then you're suddenly going to get that one. And so I'm going to suggest that you try that. Do not do this. I'll be very disappointed if you do that, because it's not going to work to your benefit. All right. So let's talk about emails. I put this picture on here. I've used this picture for years. And so even though it is not email, I wanted to say, let's pretend those are the emails printed off. Okay. And how someone is overwhelmed. And so how do we get noticed? And so of course, the more current version would be this, where if someone's on their iPad, you see they have 38 messages. I have to tell you that on an average, on a recent Harvard Business University study, the average executive working in a Fortune 500 gets 200 emails a day. So I was trying to think about how many emails I get a day, and I have, multiple email accounts. So I think I probably get probably 40 to 50. And the thing that's driving me crazy is now all these automated ones. And oh, by the way, I used to subscribe to Connect 365, the program where you send out all these automated emails and all this other bit. And it was too unyielding for me. It was too encumbersome. It was slowing me down. And so it's funny because now I've been through that program. I know what their whole product looks like, and I'm not trying to bash them, but the point is now I see all those emails and also on my DMs and LinkedIn coming in that are basically just like these automated things. They're just, they think they're catching you, but they're not. And I finally actually responded to a DM the other day on someone that I had agreed to connect with because I'm not necessarily connecting with everybody. And I sent them a DM and I said, and I had given them an answer. I said, well, it was someone that was with accounting firms. And I said, right now I don't have any clients. I'll continue to keep you posted. If I have some clients that think you could use your services, thank you very much. And I pretty much just was polite, but said, I don't have anybody for you and I'm going on with my life. And I literally got a DM the next day that basically was giving me a whole nother sales spiel. It was probably, I don't know, AI or whatever, and just literally doing a whole whatever of the mouth about their services. And I DM'd them back. I said, excuse me, are you a live person? Are you AI? Did you not read my previous DM? So I think it's really getting kind of scary out there that there just is so much of this automated. Also, when I was looking online, because even though I've done this training before, I always like to go back and just make sure I've got the most current information for all my students. And it's amazing because it's been growing over time, but I didn't realize how much was growing over time in terms of now all these software programs that guarantee you to give you all these prospects, all these leads, in terms of they're going to do the automated emails for you, they're going to do the automated voicemail for you. It's all going to be on, you're just going to have all leisure time in the world and you're just going to use their platform. And so if you want to use the platforms, feel free. Depending upon how much bandwidth and how many employees you have, it's going to make a difference because you have to be able to implement and control it the best you can. And so I just want you to try this system. It's a simple way of understanding. You're going to be more in control of your life. You're going to be more in control of your business. Down the road, then go get all the fancy stuff. But you're frankly, in my opinion, you need to have a commitment of a virtual assistant or one employee that's going to help you maintain those programs. Because what you want to do is you want to make sure that you maintain genuine and you maintain yourself as being authentic. And the more I see of this and the more I see of AI, I'm not totally against AI, but these are not necessarily real people that are doing it. And how can you expect to build trust if it's not really you? So here are the type of emails as a rule is what we're dealing with relative to building your pipeline. So you're going to have cold prospects that you're going to be reaching out to, or you're going to have warm prospects. And let's say this would also include the people you're connected with on LinkedIn. Okay. So for cold prospects, you got to remember when you're formatting your email, it's going to be an initial introduction. They don't necessarily know you. So in that case, I'm going to encourage you just to do a little bit, not a lot. Don't go down a lot of rabbit holes in terms of a little bit of research about the company, or if it's a SIC code, you can come out and say you've worked with similar clients, that type of thing. You're going to be warming up the plate. It'll help you, particularly with a cold prospect, if you can, in your message, show some signs of empathy and to make sure you're being authentic. Because as I said, that's going to start to raise you on the trust because you now at this point are an unknown. And on the email, take them through the journey if there's some way that in a succinct way, not a long, whole big deal of how you can show them, how you can take them from pain to take them to Pleasure Island. So it's like, oh, as an entrepreneur or a small business owner, have you ever felt like you were hanging on by your fingernails? Let's talk about what it's like to have more control of your business and more control where you can proactively have more prospects coming into your pipeline that are pre-qualified that you can reach out to continue to build and grow your business. Now, I just did that actually on the fly, but that would be an idea of showing a pain versus a pleasure. And you always have to have your call to action. On a LinkedIn person, it's a little bit easier because you can be a little bit more casual if you want, depending on how you know the person, or if you have a mutual friend, that automatically is going to increase the trust. And there again, with that person, hopefully you know a little bit more about them so you know what style is going to resonate them with short, hard-hitting, direct, or you're going to do a little bit more of a small chit chat about, well, how are the kids or how is the soccer game? And you have to also think about there again, you have a little bit of an advantage because what will get their attention? There again, and I am making a little bit of a stereotype, so I apologize for that. But if you have someone like a lawyer that you're going after their business, they have very little time. Okay. So with lawyer friends of mine, when I work with them, I call them on the phone, I tell them what I'm going to send them, and basically I send it to them, and then they give me an opinion. Same thing like a CPA. If you think you're going to get a hold of a CPA right now in the middle of tax season, this is like not the season to be doing it. So you're going to want to wait until like May. But think about how can you get their attention? Because again, you know a little bit more about their background on an initial email, you could offer to send some article or a case study or something that you studied or something based on their posts or on their website. On the cold prospect, I am not suggesting on the initial email you should not send articles or case studies or things that basically they're not ready for. So this is a different stage. After you do your first email to a cold prospect, then you can start to do the other things like sending articles and case studies. So again, overall, you have to keep your email short. I'm very fond of my clients, but the bulk of them, when I go in and I evaluate their emails, they are way too long, particularly when you're dealing with prospects. Once you have the relationship and you have the contract and you're following up on project details, that's entirely different, but not in this case. So it comes back to a lot of it is dependent upon the subject line, because just human nature is people go into the subject line. Okay, what is this about? Do I need to snooze this, as someone might say, or am I going to, am I going to respond to it? Something that I was taught years ago, and I do on the bulk of my emails, is I start my email with a capital R, capital E, semicolon. So what happens is with the reader, it stands for regarding, but it jumps the reader into the subject line about, oh, well, what's this about? If I don't have the RE, at least for me visually, I don't think it's as impactful. If you don't want to use the RE technique, then don't. Okay, but that is something that I've used for years, and I'm blessed to have a high response to my emails, even on the cold emails. So you want to, and then some people also suggest that I have not done this, but I've heard people have had very good luck with it, is you can use the prospect's name in the subject line. Bob, comma. Just thought you might want to know. Keep it short, keep it to the point. It has to be one screen length. There again, the focus, the benefit, the result of the outcome, the call to action. What are you asking to do? Are you saying, and on some of these initial emails, unless it's in your signature line and you really want it there, I would not include a Calendly link. I would save that for some of your later emails because you're still developing a relationship, and some people might feel that that's a bit presumptuous. Also, it'll stand out more if you wait 2 or 3 emails to send it then at that point. And I used to have a big mistake. I was like the queen of adding attachments. I had all sorts of graphics. I will admit I have my picture on my email, but I have given up attachments unless it's someone that I really know, because now if you're asking me for an attachment, now I have to stop. Now I have to open the attachment to read it. It's cleaner without the attachment, and they're going to respect the fact that you respected their time with the one screen and what they're going to see. I still would have my signature line. Okay, because it's another way that they can see your email, they can see your phone as a reminder if they want to respond to that. And then also, to be honest, I think in today's world, having the LinkedIn link to your profile. When I reach out to a lot of people in email, it's interesting because I've been doing, I think, Sales Navigator now, I think for 2, maybe 3 years. And it's interesting because after I send, after I send some emails, and these I'm not doing through Constant Contact, by the way, I'm doing these manually. Okay. Even though I'm a big Constant Contact person. And then invariably within 24 to 48 hours, I can see the people that went over and checked my profile from the email. And then there again, as you know, all those people that looked at your profile, when you have extra time, then those are people you can follow up with, or I will check their profile to see if it's someone that I want to move them forward on the list, if it's someone that's relevant to my business, or is this just a spam person that, whatever. So. And then here are some subject lines, and I'll strip these out and I'll put them in a separate Word document for you to make it a little bit easier. I feel like I have some more. I think I have another document that I created, but I haven't been able to find it yet, so I will look for that again. I'm all right on my computer, but I went through a period, I guess it was, I don't know, maybe over Christmas and New Year's, where I was actually throwing a lot of stuff on my OneDrive just to keep things a little bit neater. So this one you've seen before, the we talk. I left this one in, even though some of you may not be working in the salary area, but if you know friends that do, that's a good one that works. I use this one, the waving the flag, I use it a lot. I do it on my voicemail if I've left more than one voicemail, and also email. The waving the flag is particularly effective because sometimes, depending upon how you know the person, if someone hasn't responded, I've sent them one or two emails, I'll say, waving the flag, I know you're busy, but I haven't heard. And I cannot tell you how many people will pick up the phone and say, Eleanor, I am so sorry I didn't get back to you. I saw your email. So it's understanding that we're all so overwhelmed and we're all so busy. And that's another way I'm saying that this is not to be taken personally. It's just people's lifestyle. You don't know if someone has a death in the family. You don't know if someone's taking care of an elderly parent. You don't know if someone's taking their child to college or something. So you need to stay in it, and tenacity and persistence is the way to win the game. So here's an example of a cold prospect. Okay. So, hi, Catherine, I just left you a voicemail. Or if you left a voicemail recently. So in my case, I'm starting with the voicemail. If you're starting with this is a first email, you don't necessarily have to start with that, right? You take that out and you can say in your voicemail, oh, I just sent you an email, okay, Tuesday, or I sent you an email today. As I mentioned, I'm doing an industry research project and would love to have your input as an industry leader. Would you be up for a quick Zoom call or phone call for about 10 to 15 minutes? The sweet spot I have found is asking people, you're basically asking people for 20 minutes, but I do start with the 10 to 15 because for some people that's a little bit easier. I will always tell you that every time I'm on a call with someone, if I've asked them for 20 minutes or 15 to 20 and they say yes, and I get to the point where it's 15, I will say, excuse me, I want to be respectful of your time. You said you could give me 15 minutes. It's the 15-minute mark. Do you want to reschedule this call to finish the call, or would you like to finish it? And invariably they will say, oh no, Eleanor, let's just finish the call. But it's a nice point where there again, you're showing your respect for them and their time. And so I have been doing that for quite a while. And I kind of get the impression that some people just may not be doing that. But when you do it, I think it elevates you. Just like if I say I'm going to send you something, I always keep my commitment. And then let me know, take care. It's a casual person. You could say, I tend to do kind regards for people that I don't know that well. So probably should maybe, this was thinking of my girlfriend, Catherine, to be honest, when I wrote this. So you could do kind regards. And then once I've spoken to someone, then I elevate them and I start going with warm regards. And then once I really know you, then I'm doing the take care. And then I would still have your signature line on that. Now, a warm prospect would be here. You're saying, oh, as I mentioned, we met at the Women's Biz event last month. So I'm doing a lot of events all over the place, and I have found it to be very effective in emails when I reach out with people, when I refer to them. We were in Kellogg together, or we were at the chamber event together, or we worked on relay together, our kids were in preschool. Any touch point that you can have, even if you haven't been in touch with someone for 1 or 2 years. I'm also I was awarded the women influential women of business, okay, by the Daily Herald. And so it was funny because I was just at an event last night and I ran into two other women that are in that group. So I have a whole list of the women that have won that award over the years, and on and off, I reach out to those women. So if you can find some type of connection of something that you've got with someone, even if you're in SHRM, let's pretend you're a SHRM person, or you're in the American Marketing Association, you've got some old directory. If you had a little extra time, you reach out to those people, find out if they're still there. And so I want to leave you with, like we had in our first session, again, something else to think about that might help you as you continue to work through this, because there are going to be some days you're going to hit a home run. You're going to feel like $1,000,000. You relish the moment you caught up with someone. They were excited. They said, yes, let's call. Let's get you in here. Or yes, I'd love to do the Zoom call, whatever it is. But here are just some simple things. I'm a big gratitude person. So I do not get out of bed unless I am saying I'm grateful. And also at the end of the day, I always say what I'm grateful for. It doesn't mean this is your thing, but it's something I've been doing probably for about 5 or 10 years. I had gone through a really tough time, and I am a spiritual person, but I added that back in consciously into my day. And I do it during the weekend. And then find your focus for the day. Even though the previous night you've laid out your calls, okay? I still want you to think when you're getting out and you're getting dressed, what's my primary goal today? What are the 3 to 5 things I want to do? Now, I've been using a daily planner, and I can't remember if I shared it with this group, And sometimes I fall off the boat and I'm not using my planner, and then I get back on. So every day, basically, I lay it out. And so it's laid out in terms of what's the list of the things I want to accomplish today? What are the things I want to accomplish next week? And what are the things I want to accomplish in the month? And so I keep moving them forward. I highlight them. I use a red check mark to give myself some energy back when I've accomplished those things. And so these are just some simple things. Sometimes, unfortunately, we're surrounded by negative people. You could tell someone you're doing, like, why would you do that? You know what? I just don't listen to those people. If something's in my heart and my soul, I know I'm meant to serve. I know I'm meant to help people. I move forward. And I guess basically, I guess subconsciously, I work to be around supportive people. And there's a lot of negativity in today's world, and I just can't, I can't even go there because I told you about optimism and how I feel about it. But take each time to recharge your mind, body, and spirit. My problem is if I'm working fully in my office during the day, I forget to leave my office. Yes, I get breakfast. Yes, occasionally I go to the ladies' room or whatever. But I've been working with a coach in the last year that reminded me, and it was true because I did it the other day. I think I was working on this presentation. And I just said, no, I'm going to leave this for a minute. Not that I was stressed or anything, but I just went outside. I walked on my deck, walked around the house, came back in, and it just reset me. So I'm just saying we need to remind ourselves of doing that. Um, so one other thing I wanted to share with you, I need to send you the book list because I need to update it. But I don't know if you can see this because my thing I don't think works. Oh, no, you can't because I've got to go off the screen. But one of the books that I read years ago and is part of my philosophy of what we're going through here is the book Good to Great by Jim Collins. Okay, so he talks about how you just keep trying, you think like nothing is happening. And then suddenly I think it's the expression of the flywheel. It just suddenly starts to happen. So that's the way I feel about this and this whole process and being consistent and staying with it. So commit an hour a day for the next 30 days. Write it into your calendar, whichever you want to do it, through your Outlook calendar or physically into your calendar. Otherwise, it'll never happen. And if one day crashes and burns and you have a heck of a day and a bad hair day and it doesn't happen, don't beat yourself up. You just know you're going to do it the next day. So, what have we gone over today? We've gone over defining the transformation that you provide, designing the powerful voicemails and the emails that get noticed, and we're basically working on strong connections, building trust and value, and getting the gift of time for those that we're reaching out to. And so relative to next week, your call to action is I'm going to be sending you some information. It'll be an attachment. I'm saying download here of some documents from today's session to help you. I am going to be sending you the PDF. I'm going to be sending you the link. Okay. And we learned that it needs to be public. So thank you for those that were helping me with that. And then still please focus on your 25 to 50 pre-qualified prospect list using the SIC code or the NASAS code through one of your databases. If you want to put them on an Excel sheet, fine. You want to put them on cards, you want to put them on a legal pad, it doesn't matter. Just get started and do it, and don't worry about being perfect. It is much better to move forward imperfect and stumble and figure it out. And our greatest learning is through mistakes. So please block your calendar out to work on the voicemails and the emails for your business. Think about how you're going to apply this to your business this week going forward. Feel free to reach out to me. So it doesn't mean I won't look at the emails. If you want to send me both voicemails and emails, fine. But send me some samples that I can be giving you some quick feedback on via email. And then our next session will be our third session, and our last session will be March 20th at 12:30. Oop, hold on here. All right, let me stop sharing for a minute. So what I wanted to share with you is relative to the next session is I'm going to share, I've got a referral script I'm going to share with you talking about the timing of referrals, talking about networking, some quick tips on LinkedIn. We'll do some recap on the Q&A. And then I'm also going to be going through the cadence and how you put this all together. So I'm going to tie it up in a bow, and I'll have some more documents to help you with that. So I think that was it. And then don't forget, you have to schedule your 2 20-minute laser sessions with me to do within 30 days from the 20th, whatever 30 is plus 20. But obviously we can give or take on a couple of days. So number one, I want to thank you for being here today. And number 2, I'm gonna stop the recording, and I'll take any questions.